Hey there, Spiritual Plumber again. So today I would like to talk to you a little bit about the sewer machines. Okay, there's actually numbers for the sewer machines when you go to call to rent them or what have you. But here I call it small. Medium would be this one, large, then the extra large, okay? We'll start with the small one. And the small one here, it's handheld, it's a drill style, and it's got a 1/4 inch cable on it, and you can't adjust the heads, you can't switch the heads on them, right? And it's more or less for like sink drains. It's what I use them for, sink drains, right? Whether it's a kitchen sink or a bathroom sink, and once you get it out to a certain spot and it feels like it's catching on something, you can pull this back and it locks the actual cable itself, and then you can manually force it in there a little bit, you know. I will say this, be very, very careful if you're doing this by yourself. First off, if you wear rubber gloves, make sure you put another pair of leather gloves or something over it. That way it'll slide in your hands and it won't get caught and twist, okay? Another thing, if it gets caught in something and you try to force it in there, this will bind up like this, or it can unravel a whole bunch and twist up and you can get hurt. So be very, very, very careful. Be very, very careful. Okay. Now, next, medium. For me, I use the medium every chance I can, unless I know for a fact it's outside in the yard. So if I get a call from a customer and they say that their commode drain is plugged up, well, I take this one first because I can carry it. I can just pick it up and go through their house and get to wherever I'm going. Both of these, the small one and the medium, have a 50-foot cable. And like I said, the small one's a 1/4 inch. The medium, it's 3/8 cable. 3/8 cable. Now it will bind up on you, like I was showing you with that one. It will twist and bind up. You got to be very careful with it also, but it's not as easy as it is with the little one, okay? Also, with both of these, you have to fish them in the line by hand, small and medium, okay? Also, you can start switching the heads when you go from the medium, large, and extra large. And there are many different heads. I think there's actually 12 different heads that you can get for these. Of course, one is your cutter heads. You put them on there, it'll cuts roots, cuts paper, that kind of thing. Then you have a smaller cutter for your smaller size drain lines, like 2-inch, and that would hook to your medium cable, okay? And then you have the big cutters. I mean the big cutters. So if it's like you're trying to saw some roots that are in the drain, they have this style of cutter. And you also have this style of cutter. You can put those on the large one when you're in someone's home, but I wouldn't recommend it because there's still a lot of fittings, you know, elbows, 45s, and then some of the old style goes from plastic to clay, or plastic to terracotta, whatever, and it'll tear stuff up now. Okay, I would recommend this style of cutter if you're going to go in a residential home using the large machine. With the large machine, it has a lever on here. It goes forward and backwards. And this here is your tension of how fast you want it to go in and out. It is self-feeding and self-retrievable. So if you want it to go forward, you push it on forward and it'll go through the drain. You want it to come back, you kick it on reverse and it'll pull itself back. On that one, right now at the moment, I have what you call a bullet head on here. It's a bullet head. So it actually just like pokes through. It just pokes through your object or whatever. A lot of times here where I deal with them, that it's not actually roots, it's wipes or stuff that people would intentionally drop down the drains. Okay, I didn't know if, of course I'm sure you heard the noise there, that this thing has a spring head on the front of it. Okay, so while you're sitting there, basically you got to get a bucket or a crate and sit there and you control your lever. You don't want that thing to bind up on you when you're feeding that like that and you're sitting on a bucket. So you got that spring head on there to keep it from actually kinking, binding up on you and hurting somebody. I mean, this will break an arm or worse. Okay. Also, we have a retriever, and if you notice that both of these, all three of these, the spring on here, it's a spring head. This is the one that's a spring head, and we got the spring head for the large and extra large. And it will reach in there and get a hold of wipes. It will get a hold of, you know, yogurt cups, shampoo bottles. So it'll poke through and grab a hold of it, and you can pull it out and retrieve it out with it. The extra large one here, it's mainly for like outside lines, and we've even got one step up. It's gasoline powered, and I have had 500 feet on this thing at one time. Okay, it is actually, you have to kind of force it in the lines yourself, and with that one, the cable comes on these spools that you can take with you, and each section of this is 8 feet long, and on this spool we keep 50 foot, and I can try to keep all the spools at 50 foot, right? Well, it's also got a core cable inside of it. So it's got a 5/8 cable inside of the actual spring that's over top of this. And the whole entire cable has that spring over top of it. Now something's coming loose. It's either going to break the line and come up out of the ground, or whatever that object is in there, it's coming out. It's coming out. You don't want to be nowhere near this thing when it goes to kink up like those. I mean, because that'll really put you in a hospital. Like I said, got one. This style, you go about 200 foot, and then the motor kind of starts bogging down, and it just doesn't have the power. But the gasoline powered one, it's got a really big motor on it. It's set up the same way except for gasoline power, and it's got a lever to control it in gear and out of gear, forward and reverse. This has just got a switch. And like I said, I had 500 feet of it in the line, and it never bogged down one bit. I mean, it just kept on going. For whatever reason, where we're at here, I guess there was no inspectors or what have you to have someone to install clean out every 50 foot. So, like I said, I mean, we had 500 foot in this drain before we even got to that. The overall, if I'm going to go do a residential job, it would be one of these two. One of these two. There has been times that I've had to come back to the shop and get the big one, but not for residential. These big commercial jobs, you know, they have 6-inch, 8-inch line, and we're talking about 3 and 4 stories tall, some places. So that there's got multiple bathrooms in there, so they had to have a bigger line. You got to have the big boy. So 1/4-inch cable, 3/8 cable, 1/2-inch cable, 5/8 cable. With that 5/8 cable, it's got a spring, or like I said, it's a core cable with a spring around it. So there's a little bit of information about the sewer machines. You guys, if you were going to go invest in one for you at home, or you're going to go to rent it, you get this one. 50-foot cable, 50-foot length, and it's a 3/8 cable, and